Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Friday, May 24th, 2024. It's the end of the day. It's the end of the week. We have a 3-day holiday weekend coming up here in the U.S. It's time for everybody's favorite, the Intelligence Community Roundtable with my dear friends and colleagues, Larry Johnson and Ray McGovern. Gentlemen, earlier today, the International Court of Justice, that's the UN's court to which every UN member nation is subject, came out with a rather dramatic ruling which reinforced its preliminary ruling of last January that the Israelis should not engage in genocide, and this time ordered them to cease their engaging in genocide and expressly told them to stop the invasion of Rafah. Now, we know where this is going to go. It goes to the Security Council of the United Nations, and the U.S. will, of course, veto it. But this has to be an enormous black eye for Israel and a continued perception of Israel as isolated in the international community. Before we start, here is the chief judge of the court. It's a long clip. Chris edited it down to 60 seconds, explaining the core, the guts of the court's ruling earlier today in Brussels.
I shall now read out the operative part of the order. For these reasons, the court, by 13 votes to 2, reaffirms the provisional measures indicated in its orders of 26 January 2024 and March 28, 2024, which should be immediately and effectively implemented. 2, indicates the following provisional measures. The State of Israel shall, in conformity with its obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, and in view of the worsening conditions of life faced by civilians in the Rafah Governorate, A, by 13 votes to 2, immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah Governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that would bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part.
Coming, Larry, within 10 days of the announcement by the Prosecutor General of the International Criminal Court that he would seek indictments and arrest warrants against Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Gallant, and 3 Hamas leaders, and followed up earlier today, as Ray points out, by the official spokesperson for the Chancellor of Germany. If Netanyahu sets foot in Germany, he will be arrested once the arrest warrant is issued. How do you view this decision today with respect to Israel and its relationship to the rest of the world?
Sets up a very ironic situation. Israel came into being thanks to a vote by the United Nations General Assembly. Now, it is true that the Security Council is likely to have a U.S. veto of any action to enforce this ICJ ruling, but they can still take it to the General Assembly, and the General Assembly can vote to expel Israel for failing to comply with a judgment of the ICJ. So, that would be the ultimate irony, that Israel would be forced out. And frankly, the Israeli ambassador to the UN, this Gildan character.
He's a madman.
Yeah, he's one of the most obnoxious, obscene, disgusting individuals I've ever come across. And he doesn't, he gets up every morning figuring out a new way to insult the other members of the UN. So, they would happily vote to expel the Israelis, particularly with him as the face of Israel.
Ray, how significant is it that Germany announced if the arrest warrants are issued, we'll execute them if these people come into our jurisdiction?
Well, I was shocked, Judge. Here's the spokesperson for Olaf Scholz, the German chancellor, saying, look, we abide by the law. The law is that if an indictment is served, an arrest warrant, then if Netanyahu comes here, we will arrest him. My God, there are changes coming, okay, big changes. And the fracturing of the alliance in Europe with the United States is in full swing. Now, Norway had already said that they would arrest Netanyahu. So, as Larry points out, this is a really big black eye. Will the U.S. Veto of this kind of thing in the Security Council? It probably will, but this United for Peace declaration from the General Assembly means a hell of a lot. Now, with respect to prosecutions, I asked my friend Frank Boyle, a professor of law at University of Chicago. I asked him earlier today, you got any comments? Send me some links of what you said, because this has been around for about 20 hours now. So he says, Frank, I got lots of comments. Google me and you won't find any. But here's one. There was an Arabic at the UAE interviewed him for about 10 minutes.
When you say Google me and you won't find any, were his comments taken down?
No, they just don't run them. They have this algorithm that says, look, this guy, Frank Boyle from Chicago, just like this McGovern from the Bronx, put him at the bottom of the pile, all right?
Well, tell Professor Boyle to call Chris. We'll put him on the air. Larry,
he's terrific.
They just don't like, they don't like the Irish.
Well, there once was a very great Irish-American law professor at Fordham named McGovern, whose books we as law students all used and studied, even though I went to the other Irish Catholic law school, the one in South Bend, Indiana, called Notre Dame. But Larry, thank you very much for your interesting observation that I had not even thought about the UN being the very reason, the legal linchpin for the creation of the nation of Israel, and the power of the General Assembly to expel Israel. The vote on the court, Larry and Ray, was 13-2. The American judge, not appointed by Joe Biden, voted with the majority.
That's right.
Is there any reason to believe, I'll ask each of you this question, Larry first, is there any reason to believe that this decision was corrupt, not based on evidence, a political decision? I mean, they examined this for 6 months because their original preliminary decision, 5 months, came down in January. Larry?
Yeah, Judge, this was evidence that even Helen Keller could see. Okay. So yeah, definitely, it was the correct decision. It's a stain. I can understand the Israeli judge, not wanting to go along with the vote, but I forget the other country. The other country that sided with Israel is an irrelevancy.
It's I think Uganda, which for some reason always sides with Israel.
Well, I think that the judge, the woman who's the judge from Uganda, has 3 young teenagers at Harvard University and doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. This is a joke. I make a joke.
Right. Well, look, will these 2 judicial decisions, if they decide to indict and issue arrest warrants, and this one today, put economic pressure on other countries not to do business with Israel? Will Bibi be hurt in his pocketbook, Ray McGovern?
Yes, he will. There are all manner of things that can happen. I mean, it happened before with South Africa. And ideally, or ironically, South Africa is the power behind all this. So besides the black eye, despite the demeaning of Israel, you have very practical measures that can be undertaken, even if the U.S. in its wisdom vetoes the resolution to comply